All right, well, welcome to our State of the District webinar. So we planned on scheduling a few of these, especially with the start of last March, and continually updating folks in regards to the changes in our phase-in plan. And so we've got additional members with us tonight to kind of talk through some district facts, whether it be enrollment, whether it be our updated phase-in plan, or our updated health information. So again, we know this has been challenging. This has been a bumpy ride. I know for our families, our students, and our staff, and we appreciate your continued support as we work through our phase-in for students. As you know, we have brought in our pre-K through third grade students and several other students in some of our other buildings. And then we were told to pause on our 4-5. And Vicki will be sharing an update on what that 4-5 looks like on today's State of the District webinar. And then again, we continue to lean on Spokane Regional Health District, Department of Health, and L&I to support us and provide guidance as we continue to phase in. All right, tonight's panelist, we have with us Robert Dompierre, our board chair. We have Vicki Leifer, our assistant superintendent. We have Grace Johns, our lead nurse for West Valley School District. Tim Morgan, Transportation and Food Services Director, is here with us. And Sam Schweda, our Executive Director of Finance, is with us as well. Tonight, we will go through a series of slides and review common questions. There will also be an opportunity to submit your questions via the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. And we will be monitoring that Q&A. But again, you may have a question that gets answered throughout the presentation, so try to save your questions until the end. For those of you that are on Facebook, we're monitoring both sites. And so we may get to your questions from Facebook Live, but also it's just an opportunity for you. Some of them are very similar. So we'll do our best to get to those as well. And then we hope to cruise through this in about 24 minutes. We did this yesterday with our staff. And again, this is being recorded. So if the folks aren't able to watch it live today, they can watch it via the recording. So I'd like to start off by highlighting our strategic plan areas and how we've organized the presentation tonight. So our strategic plan has the 3 categories of safe and caring culture, success for all, and community engagement. So we've organized the topics under each of these categories. So we'll hear from our nurse about the health and safety updates under safe and caring culture. Under the success for all tab, Vicki's going to give us a phase-in update. We'll share some information about activities in athletics. We'll talk through our pilot on virtual snow days. And then under the community engagement, talk about our meal distribution. Tim Morgan's joined us, our student enrollment with Sam Schweda, and then talking about budget and levy facts as well. All right, our first topic for tonight's conversation is around a safe and caring culture. So here are some great photos from the start of our year around what it takes from the standpoint of our facilities and maintenance crew, building, of course, plexiglass for all of our buildings. So big thank you to them and our custodial teams, helping to get classrooms ready for what it looks like on the first day. And there's some great photos of the engagement that our families had around the last few weeks with Halloween. And then there's a picture of our staff. This is a new mode for our staff to join together virtually throughout the last few months and staying engaged with each other and having virtual meetings within their buildings. Next up is Grace.
All right, so I just have a couple updates here from Spokane Regional Health District and their guidance. One of the biggest changes, with our rates being over 300 per 100K, is that they are asking any household member of anyone that's having COVID-like symptoms stay home. So we are asking that if you have siblings that attend 2 of our schools and you need to keep one home for COVID symptoms, that you keep your other child home as well, even if they're not having symptoms at this point. and then they would be able to return once the student or your child that has symptoms either has a negative test or has a note from the health provider saying that it is due to something else. And then at the bottom here, we just have the Class A and Class B symptoms. And so another update is regarding that Class B symptom. If you have one Class B symptom, this isn't a change, but you are allowed to monitor that for 24 hours, and that's recommended. And then if it goes away, you come back to school. If it stays, then you go into the either 10 days of isolation, get tested, or a note from a provider. However, you don't have to stay out a full 24 hours. So if your student goes home with a symptom and it improves, they can come back. They don't have to wait a full 24 hours. So for example, if your student has to go home with a headache at 2 p.m. and then it goes away at 6 that night, they can come to school the next day. They don't need to stay out that entire next day. All right, and then we do have some updated guidance regarding close contacts and quarantines. And so while Spokane Regional Health District is still recommending the 14-day quarantine, they are allowing people and students to come back that are identified as close contacts after 10 days, as long as they aren't having any symptoms, and that they are being sure to adhere to the strict masking and social distancing, and also making sure that they're still monitoring extremely closely until day 14.
So the next piece is Success for All, and we're taking a look at the students that we have on site. So we have preschool through 3rd grade students on site in a hybrid model. So we have 58 preschool students, which is all of our preschool students, kindergarten through 3rd grade, half of the students on campus each day for 747 total students. And we have middle and high school students in need of additional support and using Internet Cafe that are on site. And we are running 28 of our West Valley buses, which is almost all of our buses, to transport all of the students for each of our routes. As we look at our on-site phase-in model, the considerations we're using for determining the continuation of phasing students in on-site is a combination of things. And we look at school-related transmission rates, community-related transmission rates, and now we're looking also at hospitalizations based on Spokane Regional Health District information we received yesterday. Taking a look at overall staff and student infections and quarantine numbers, anything going on regionally, and always in conjunction with the support of Spokane Regional Health District. And just taking a look at the Department of Health decision tree, we continue to be able to meet the requirements to keep students and staff safe and continue to phase in students. So what we're looking at is we've phased in preschool through 3rd grade, and right before Thanksgiving break, Spokane Regional Health District asked us to pause on phasing in any more grade levels until they were able to see what the effects of potential Thanksgiving gatherings would cause. And the superintendent and I were able to meet with Spokane Regional Health District yesterday and got the support to phase in 4th grade students, January 14th for cohort A, January 15th for cohort B, and then a week later, 5th grade students in elementary, January 21st for cohort A and January 22nd for cohort B. So we're excited to have all of our elementaries back in a hybrid model, at least by the 3rd week of January. As we look at secondary, our secondary schools are still working on what a hybrid model would look like, where approximately 25% of the students are on campus on any given day. And we're currently still in that pause mode. And we're hoping that sometime in February, we'll be able to start phasing in middle school and high school students in this updated model. We're looking at a virtual snow day. So if we have any kind of inclement or hazardous road conditions where it's unsafe for staff and students to travel into the school buildings will be closed, and we will pilot a virtual snow day. Many of our students are currently 100% virtual as is, and we're looking to see if that will be able to work for our students and our staff. If this is the case, you'll receive a communication from our Bright Arrow Message Center indicating that we were implementing the virtual snow day. Any student who is currently 100% virtual will just continue their normal schedule. Students who are in a hybrid model, that will look a little bit different. If you're supposed to be on site, you'll attend virtual learning in the morning and again in the afternoon with some practice and independent work in the middle of the day. And if you're supposed to be at home that day off campus, you'll just continue your normal at-home routines.
All right, thanks, Vicki. WIA keeps on changing their outlook on what athletics could look like in our high schools. And so this model right here shows a season 2, a season 3, and a season 4. Season 2 would start at the beginning of February. And it looks like it's that 5 or 6, 7 week, 7-week season. And what WIA has asked each of our individual regions to do is to look at this differently. Jamie Nillis, our high school athletic director, has put together some plans with the other GSL coaches on what potentially could happen within that season number 2, the season number 3, and season number 4. So we will share that information out when the GSL has the opportunity to share that information with Spokane Regional Health District.
Yeah, so Facebook Live isn't working. I don't know why. So people can click the link to join. I don't know what. It's only showing the live Zoom link, so I'll have to click on the live Zoom link. I'm not sure what's going on. So just letting you know.
All right, community engagement in West Valley is a community event. So you can see the pictures up on the left. Dishman Hills High School was able to sponsor turkey boxes for over 100 deserving folks within our community, a big partnership with multiple vendors to help support that. So a great job to Dishman. Millwood Impact, we've been in a partnership with Millwood Impact and Brandon Camella, and he has been vital to helping us deliver food and meals to our families. And just that partnership that he's had with Second Harvest Mobile Food Bank as well. And a local bank donated some school supplies to us. Of course, you can see the coats at the top of the screen. But just amazing the amount of effort that our community has come together to help support those in need.
So this is an update on where we're at with meal service for the community. Currently, we've been delivering about 350 meals, either through door-to-door service for many community members, and then to other centralized drop points, so families can access meals when they couldn't normally get to our pickup locations. We've also started offering meal kits where you can choose to pick up a week's worth of breakfast and lunch. So that's 10 meals per student at one time. That's on Monday mornings at the high school. We're currently doing about 3,900 meals each week in that process. And then we're still doing our daily pickups at all of the elementary schools plus CMS. And we're currently doing about 900 meals a day in that service. So our kitchen staff have been working really hard to make sure that the community still has access to food and students are not going without. And they've been doing that since this started last spring.
So this is the West Valley by the numbers. Our employee makeup, we currently employ 261 certificated staff members, which include classroom teachers, elementary specialists, building administrators, counselors, psychologists, program administrators. And then our classified staff, we have 218 employees. That would be our paraeducators, secretaries, most of our nursing staff, nutrition, maintenance and custodial, all of our transportation and technology department. And in addition to those folks, we have 34 extracurricular staff, which are different activities, coaches, drama, robotics, and sports that are not either a certificated or classified staff. So in total, West Valley School District employs 513 people. And looking at our enrollment, so the blue line is our budgeted enrollment based on our enrollment from last year. And then the orange line is where we are at as of November. So you can see we're down a fair amount in our pre-K through elementary, which is 5th grade, and then a little less so in middle school, and then even less in high school. But overall, we're down about 7% in enrollment from what we had budgeted last year. And what that leads to is our enrollment drives our funding. So we are funded in 4 different kind of buckets of money. Our local dollars, which are mainly made up of our levy funds, our state dollars, which are a variety of different dollars, both categorical and general apportionment from the state, federal dollars, and then other dollars, which include such things as our ECAP program, grants we might get through our education service district, or some revenue from other school districts. As you can see, we're down about $500,000 in local dollars. The reasoning there is when the USDA switched from the National School Lunch Program to the summer feeding program and a community waiver, all meals for all children 18 and under became free, which then meant we did not collect any paid meals. And that's where the increase in $500,000 is in those federal dollars. So now we receive reimbursement for every meal that we serve. So those meals that Tim just spoke about, we get a federal reimbursement as opposed to having any of our students have to pay for that. And the biggest driver of our dollars is state funds, and we are funded on enrollment, as I said. So with that 7% decrease in enrollment, we take a decent amount of money out of our budget that we had hoped for, but our projected revenue is now about $38.5 million from the state.
All right, we are in the middle of running a levy this year. So for not this year, I mean, it will be on the ballot February 9th, but our levy addresses the years 2022, 2023, and 2024. And so it replaces an expiring levy, education programs and operations levy of $2.50. And then it replaces a capital projects levy of $1.45 per year that supports technology, safety, security, and facilities. And with voter support from our community, we also receive $2.3 million annually in local effort assistance from the legislature that backfills that support for our local district. And so the next slide shows the graph that we've been using as far as what our 25-year average for taxpayers per thousand assessed value was $649. You look at the next bar there, it's the 10-year at $649, so no change between the 25-year and the 10-year. But then look at our 5-year, we've dropped that rate down to $607. And then currently our taxpayers are paying $535 per thousand. So you can see that that's a decrease from the 25-year, 10-year, 5-year. And then our proposed rate of $395 is of course a $1.40 decrease from the $535 based on the $2.50 EP&O levy and the $1.45 capital projects levy. So our taxpayers in West Valley by supporting our levies, we'll see a $1.40 decrease with the 2022, 2023, and 2024 ballot measure that'll be on the ballot February 9th. Here is a video that was put together on what levies fund. So enjoy this short video. All right, a huge support in our district with our community partners. So too many to list there, but just it takes all of us, and I think it's a huge proponent of the education we provide in West Valley, and the community partners that step alongside of us to support our 3,500 students in West Valley and our 513 staff members in an amazing community. So just proud of the work that's done by all of these partners to support West Valley students, staff, and our community. All right, so bookending this, again, everything we've talked about tonight was filtered through that safe and caring culture, the success for all, and the community engagement. We understand this has been a challenging year to our families, our students, and our staff. Remain hopeful that we will have the opportunity to continue to phase students in. Vicki shared the phase-in plan of our pre-K through 5th grade students. And then, of course, our hope for secondary will be in the February timeframe. And so at this time, we want to open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions related to information. So if you would do so by clicking on the tab, the Q&A tab, we do have some pre-formed questions here that our panelists will be going through, but just wanted to give you an opportunity to submit a question if you have a question at this time.
So a question that comes up often is, with the virtual model, aren't we saving money? And in some aspects, yes, through some of our supplies and things like that. But in other ways, we're spending money that we normally wouldn't for supporting that virtual environment with new equipment and technology that we had not previously need or owned. So we are shifting and having to buy different things than we normally would. And also a large portion of our budget is our staff. And we have a great staff, and we've been able to maintain our staffing levels to provide quality education to our students. So while we've saved in some areas, other areas have ended up being more costly because we have not done it before. So this model really is not saving us a large amount of money.
The next question, when are middle school and high school students coming back to in-person school? So again, hoping to get 4th and 5th grade in the 14th and the 21st, and then really looking at secondary students for February.
Okay, and when a vaccine becomes available, will my student be required to get the vaccine to return to school? And so we haven't received any official guidance on that yet, but the Washington State legislature will meet to make that decision. And once we know that, we will definitely let you know.
Yeah, those other ones are just some questions that we had from our staff Zoom yesterday. So a question came into the form here. We'll let Sam take on that first question. And so if you haven't had the opportunity yet, give our staff some time as you're entering your questions into the Q&A tab. We're working on sorting those so that our panelists can answer those in the order. Thank you.
So first question that's come in is why the drop in student enrollment? And it's kind of a multifaceted drop. There's not just one reason why. We have seen through some of our programs that were very choice heavy with students coming in from out of district, that in this new virtual world, maybe they just haven't decided to do that. We have seen some of our families go to a homeschool model. And then we've also seen some of our students maybe transfer to another virtual option that is out there right now. So it's not been one thing that has seen that drop in enrollment, but it's kind of been a little bit everywhere here and there. We've also seen lower enrollment in our kindergarten class. So we expect that to increase next year, but it's been a little bit of everything that has led to that.
You want to hit that next one too, Sam?
Sure. So the question is, with the decrease in tax dollars for the levy, where is the other amount coming from? So the decrease in tax for the levy is kind of multifaceted. We are seeing an increase in our assessed value, so we don't need to levy as much dollars as we have in the past. We have reworked our capital project and some bonds to fund things differently and be more conservative in our spending and allow for our budget moving forward in this next 3-year cycle to budget for a decrease, knowing that our community is needing some support financially, and so we're trying to pass on savings and change how we're doing our spending, and not ask for so much in tax, knowing that the world is hurting financially.
So the next question, is it possible for kindergartners to be full-time in February? We're looking at phasing in K through 12 before we look at what a full-time possibility could be. We do have a little unique situation with most of our kindergarten classes. 10 out of the 11 classes reside in one building, an older building with varying size rooms. So we'd have to definitely look at space and the availability to physically distance in that scenario. The next one, I know you're still working on phasing in middle school students and what that will look like. My biggest concern with them only going 1 day a week and what the other 4 look like. They currently get taught 4 days a week by a teacher, and I don't want that to change to 1 day a week and then they are on site and then doing computer work the rest of the 4 days a week. So teacher leader teams and principals, building principals, are working on what that schedule looks like. Even though the students may be on site 1 day a week, there will be other virtual live options for the other days of the week and what that might look like. So we will keep you informed on what that looks like when we do have more finalized schedules. We appreciate the feedback.
Next question is around why are the middle school and high school students not back yet, even though they are at different locations. So we've been following the decision tree, which states that we may begin with our earliest learners first and build that capacity for our systems up through 3rd grade. And then with Spokane Regional Health District supporting our 4th and 5th grade plan, after we phase those grades in, we will be going back to the conversation with Spokane Regional Health District about our secondary students. And again, Vicki did a nice job of explaining what that looks like for our secondary students within that first phase of what that could look like with schedules.
Next one, my son is a virtual kindergarten student. Will we be able to choose to keep him there until the end of the school year? Yes. So K through 5, we have 100% virtual options right now. And we will have 100% virtual options in secondary as well. And we built those knowing that some families may want to remain virtual the entire year. So those will still remain to be an option. The next one, how are you planning for an influx in students being enrolled, re-enrolled after restrictions are lifted? We already have class sizes with those students built in, because that's the way we projected our class size and our staffing at the beginning of the year. So if we do have an influx, and we hope that we do, we have plenty of room and space for students to become re-enrolled, either in virtual, 100% virtual, or on-site as we come back in a hybrid. You're muted.
Thanks, Vicki. You're muted. So a question came in about the new sexual education or sexual health education bill that was passed by the legislature last year and then upheld by the voters this fall. So we have a meeting next week to discuss any potential changes. Nothing that we are aware of changes within our grade bands at this point, other than there are two criteria. One is affirmative consent, and the other is bystander training. So we will currently work with what that looks like from the OSPI information that we receive next week. And then the conversations around K3 are down the road. But we are looking to put together a committee to look at what West Valley needs in regards to our way of implementing a program in West Valley that's supported by our West Valley families and community. Why aren't middle school kids with IEPs allowed to go back? And so we have phased in several of our students in our 11 buildings, whether it be in our elementary buildings or in our secondary buildings, around the IEP needs of those particular students. Most of those students that are phased in those in an IEP setting are involved in a self-contained classroom. I know that there are several supports that the staff are reaching out to particular students that do have IEPs or 504 plans to try to make sure that they are getting the needs met that they have within their IEP. If there's a specific question, though, I want to make sure that I'm not glossing over that topic. Please reach out to the case worker in that particular building, or the general ed teacher or the principals, to find out exactly what that looks like for your child in those buildings. I know as we work forward with the hopes of secondary coming in, we will look at being able to phase more and more students back into our buildings. Some great questions tonight. If you did not get a question answered, I'm going to pause a little bit here and let our team put together some questions that are coming into the Q&A. And we'll just keep rolling through those as they come in. We've got plenty of time to address questions at this time. One came in, just wanted to say thank you to all the staff at West Valley School District. My student's teacher has a hybrid class, and she teaches one cohort all day in person and then corrects the other cohort's homework for her virtual learning in the evenings and gives feedback to those students who were home that day. I appreciate all the hard work. The nutrition staff has been fabulous too. I couldn't agree with you more. Our teachers are working diligently and working hard into the late hours of the night, trying to meet the needs of their students, especially when they're doing the hybrid and the virtual piece as well. So thank you for recognizing the amazing staff we have in West Valley and the hard work that this year has brought on them. Another thank you for being a great team. I appreciate your input as well. Another attendee, hearing challenges in other districts. Yeah, this has been a challenging year, bumpy, as I said at the beginning of the presentation tonight. It's been bumpy, and we know that we've had to close some classrooms here or there, or a building for a period of time. But it's amazing the team we have. I couldn't agree with you more that we're working through this together as a team and really support the information from our community. This is a team effort indeed. Okay, all right, we're waiting on just a couple of more questions here. So we'll let Vicki tackle this next one.
What does the 1 day a week in person look like at high school for online with having 6 periods per day? So let's say you're a Monday student and you attend on site on Monday. You would attend 6 periods, which are approximately 50 to 55 minutes long. And then Tuesday, you would work on assignments and bridge type activities that you were introduced to in person on Monday. For West Valley High School, each of the high schools are a little bit different, but I'm assuming this one is for West Valley High School. Wednesday is an intervention day. So students who need any additional support, any extra help, want to increase their grade, connect with teachers, have that option on Wednesday. Thursday, the student would join the classes live virtually. So they would get live instruction, but at home virtually. And then Friday would work on bridge activities and independent work based on the live instruction they had on Thursday. And that's where they are right now. Again, we're in draft form. And if it's a different high school, I'd be happy to explain that. Just drop it in the chat. But that's what West Valley High School is looking at currently.
Sam, you got the mute too.
Okay, that was now, yeah, now my turn. The question is, does the district have any ideas or recommendations for PTAs? I've worked with a lot of PTAs in the past and done some trainings with both PTAs and boosters. I would be happy to meet with any PTA presidents or councils to go over great ideas that we might be out there, ways the district can partner with PTAs and booster clubs at the secondary level to be great supports, and maybe different kinds of fundraisers that are still out there and available in the virtual world, and partnerships that the district would be more than happy to make with them.
Great, thank you, Sam. So this next question is pertaining to IEP middle school students not in self-contained classrooms. So I would ask that you reach out to their caseworker in their particular building to talk about the IEP needs of that particular student, or the principal or the director, Dan Andrews. We'd be glad to have a conversation with you about what needs your student needs around their IEP. And then I'll let Vicki tackle this next one about how are you supporting students' overall mental health. It's a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So teachers and principals and counselors and intervention teams and multi-tiered systems of support teams are really in touch with families right now, connecting when we see that a student isn't attending or isn't engaging, really reaching out, even making what we're calling porch visits, socially distanced at-home visits to check in on families and students, and really paying attention to the concerns that not only students have, but families are having. So we're really paying attention to that. We also have an electronic system. If you're on one of our Chromebook machines or log into one of our platforms, we have Bark, which recognizes when students are making statements that may be harmful or potentially harmful, or looking at different internet sites that could also be harmful, and it alerts us, parents, and building principals. So we're keeping a really close eye on that, and very aware that mental health is definitely a struggle right now.
All right, thank you, Vicki. Next question is around when West Valley High School goes back in a 1 day a week, will activities be allowed? And the example is theater, that type of thing. So we feel that our ability to offer a well-rounded educational approach includes activities and athletics and And we will lean heavily on Spokane Regional Health District to help us with that guidance. But seeing kids involved in the many facets of their education is important. And it's amazing what our teachers and coaches and advisors have the ability to do. And I think it addresses that question up above as well, that overall mental health component of education. So our goal is to do everything we can to implement those programs in a safe manner and get students those opportunities to extend their learning.
Next one, why are secondary students not turning on their cameras during classroom instruction? My husband is a secondary math teacher, and this is one of his frustrations. We all have different places and different things going on. And so sometimes you may not want people to see what is in your background. You also may have some other reasons for not turning on your camera. So we did not make it a mandate for secondary students to turn on their cameras. But we do have engagement, even if we don't see faces. There's the chat bar, there's a whiteboard, Jamboard is an electronic whiteboard where students can write things down and still be engaged. So that's a good question, but we don't want to put anybody in a situation that is uncomfortable. Next one, for secondary students who fail classes this year, will they be required to make up those credits? I read an article that middle school and high school students across the country are failing at a very high rate. We are seeing higher failing rates, but we are intervening with those students before the end of the semester. So hopefully that they don't fail more classes than usual due to COVID. And we're really providing the supports that they need. For the credits, it really all depends what the credit is. We have some opportunities to waive some credits locally. We last year had some opportunity after the State Board of Education had to pass some emergency rules to waive some credits for seniors. We don't know what that looks like for current seniors and through freshmen. So that is yet to be seen, but we will share that information as that comes out.
All right, great. Thank you, Vicki. Just an opportunity of, like I've said earlier, and I appreciate all the amazing questions that are coming in through the chat. This is truly a partnership, and we need all of us working together to help work through this pandemic. Our entire team is working to provide a quality education to students. I know my son, a sophomore at West Valley High School, had that same question as far as his video on, video off, saying good morning to his teachers, that type of thing. But it's a challenge. And so, as you know, our priority is highlighting the focus of safe and caring culture. And so we need the community and our staff and our students to come together to help with that. We hope that you have felt informed over the course of the last several months, giving you an update on where we're at with our finances, with our enrollment, with our nutrition and our nutrition services program, the health and safety side of all of this new challenge is an important piece that we all come together and work together on. So education is truly a partnership, and currently that is more now than it ever has been. And so really appreciate the team effort in regards to the hybrid, to the virtual, and really our focus of getting more kids back to school when it's safe to do so. So thanks for joining us tonight. I'm not going to put our panelists on the spot. In regards to closing statements, they each had an opportunity to share the information as it pertains to their particular roles. I wish you all a happy holidays and continue to support our students. If you have questions beyond tonight, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We always ask that you start with your building and then build us into that conversation if need be. A huge thank you to our panelists tonight, Grace, our lead nurse, Tim Morgan, our nutrition and transportation director, Sam Schweda, our executive director of finance, and Vicki Leifer, our assistant superintendent. So thank you all. Have a wonderful night. Be safe this holiday season, and excited to see that we've gotten approval for or support for our 4th and 5th grade phase-in plans. So, all right, have a wonderful evening.